Hello everyone. Today's topic is very interesting. I was actually trying to analyze some of the couples, like married couples, husband and wife, and the husband or the family members usually say his wife is very naggy or she's a nagging wife. So then I decided to make a particular kind of podcast in which I can explain both the factors of wife and husband. If any of the person in this world are facing situations like problems in their married life due to argumentations, with this podcast they can a little bit try to understand each other to maintain harmony. So why do we say women nag but men request? I am not against any woman, but usually it is described in such a way that why do women nag and men request? So my topic is, why do we say women nag but men request? The notion of the nagging wife is one of the most common negative stereotypes there is about in a married woman. Her victims, the hen-pecked husband, these desperately to escape her clutches, but she keeps nagging away or harping away. There is no cultural counterpart in the form of nagging husbands. When men want something done, they don't. So the reasoning goes, while in winning the demanding and needing for the nagging wife, supposed does they make a request. People feel that women's nag and men's usually respect. So it is all about how you approach with the topic between a husband and wife. It depends on the way how you understand the topics. What's behind the stereotype and why have women been characterized in this way for so long? It's a big question. Many women complained. You always feel that your wife is nagging or others' wife are so good. In this point, I would say some kind of fluctuation, or I would say lack of frequency, lack of understanding between them is the main reason. As per the human psychology, we don't accept things which are against us. We always need a favorable environment, a favorable dialogue, but not every time it is obtained by us or been provided by anyone. So, what's behind the stereotype? Why have been women characterized in such a way? Look, the idea that men and women inhabit two different conversation worlds received a boost within a 20-year-old runaway bestseller, which was actually written by Men Are From Mars and Women Are From Venus. This was a great novel. I would suggest every of my viewers or every of the student who want to just read good books. This is one of the finest book I've ever came across. And men are from Mars and women are from Venus. So this is a kind of book in which if you read this book, you will definitely just try to analyze yourself in that particular situation, how the book is being actually written. So the researcher says that there are the gender types and the men and women emphasizing on the stereotypes rather than the actual ways of men and women behave in the reality. So there is a stereotypic nature which actually encourage a woman to nag his husband. Look, women, I am supporting you. I'm not against of men's, but I'm a teacher and it's my job to be unbiased. So there is also a big question that when people speak in the way others regard them as showing lack of confidence in what they are saying, we tend to this stereotypic woman as using these qualifications in their speech more than the men does. So this is a kind of assumption of lack of confidence. Sometimes women feel lack of confidence that their husbands are not so attentive towards themselves, a lack of insecurity which makes them to nag. This is a psychological behavior. Women's 99% women of the world are facing this kind of psychological problem. It's a psychological problem. It's not a problem with the woman. It's not the problem with her caste, creed, color, or literacy. This is a problem with the psychology because women are always suppressed since from childhood. With this in mind, let's get into one more question, that nagging wife. Women who ask their husband once, twice, or thrice to do something and they don't receive the pejorative judgment regardlessly of whether the request is reasonable or not. Look, I also request men's that you cannot analyze or you cannot give a verdict or a judgment whether the request is legitimate or not. Look, you have to understand your wife also. She should be understood because she is having a psychological fear of losing you. So she may nag. Too much of nagging leads to argumentation. That should be avoided. One more thing. That's a very interesting thing which I have observed. The social stereotype of nagging women can create a self-fulfilling prophecy. Okay, prophecy. The woman believes that she was asked a man to help her for the household chores, but because she was afraid of being a nag, she asked only very indirectly. Sometimes women don't ask you directly to help them. They usually say, I am having a headache, my back is paining, my hand is having a sprain or strain. She gives you an indirect message. Please help her. Please be a part of her work. So men should understand all these signals. If they are not understanding these signals, then man is also having some psychological problems which need to be cured by a psychiatrist. Women feel they need to disguise their voices. Then, in order to get what went without sounding. Went without sounding means she sometimes feels that her husband is actually neglecting the things she is saying because she is not getting a response of like, okay, huh, not this. And these kinds of responses are not obtained by a man. From a man to a woman. Then woman feels that she is being ignored. She nags more. So, in the end, I would suggest a few points to improve your married life between husband and wife. So, I believe it would be helpful for everyone. Most importantly, recognize the role of socialization in language and communication. Language is more than the grammar and semantics. It also affects the society in which it evolves. There is no reason to think that one type of communication is better than another. Social dynamics are reflected in the dynamics of even the sublimized forms of language uses. This is the first point which I need to suggest you. Second point which I have found is along these lines, don't get angry. If your guy calls you a nag, this is for women, he's been shaped through socialization to be revive a stereotypic image of a woman that women always nag and they are rude and non-awakening with terms of the emotions of men. But women should also understand that if he calls you nag, then you just need to do one thing. You just smile. That smile, when husband will observe, he will feel that you are not a nag. You are not a nagging wife. Sometimes it is not important to speak. Sometimes expressions are enough. Third point, refuse to let it affect your self-esteem. Okay, self-esteem is a major problem which is also known as egoistic issues or ego. Don't get into ego. Egos never sustain good relationship. In good relationship, if you are egoistic, then it will lead to a very tragic end. So avoid ego. Use the experience of an opportunity to compare perspectives. The next time that happens, try to have a candid discussion with the partner. Have a candid discussion with her. Have a nice discussion with her. Try to tease her. And sometimes wife should also tease their husband so that they can both have a bonding in which they understand if they are fighting also, but they are also making up. And never do certain kinds of thing which I have observed in many couples, that they sleep without resolving their issues. Whenever you are having any issues, try to resolve it, then only sleep, because resolving the issues will give you a good new start, a fresh start on the next day. So by these ways you can avoid the nagging effect. Now, nagging effect or nagging is actually a slang language. It's a language which is generated and spoken majority by United Kingdom, Germany and Russians, because they believe that their wives nag. This is a very prominent and day to day used by many Americans also. So I think we should not use these slang languages to insult the lady. Instead of that, we should have a candid discussion, a friendly discussion to resolve all the issues. Take a piece of paper, write down the points of each other, just pass the paper, just exchange the paper, let the persons read their mistakes or read their points, and come up with a common minimum program. In other language, a common minimum program in a marriage is known as compromise. If compromising stables your relationship, stables your family, then it's good. It's not bad. But egoistic issues or making ego point as your pride and dignity, that's wrong. With this thought, have a nice Sunday to all of you. I hope you all are in good health. Take care. Have a nice time as couples.